Hello, and welcome to Smart Mortgage Insights. I'm Mandy LaRose.
And I'm Conor Lavinka. Today we wanted to bring to you what's going to happen next. Last time we talked about what is a pre-qualification, what does it entail, how we go about looking at everything, and now we've gotten through that. So now, Mandy, what's the next process once you have that pre-qualification in your hand?
So now that you've gone through the process of bringing us your paperwork, determining how much you're going to qualify for, and you've pretty much decided what program you want to go with, the best thing to do at that point, Connor, is going to be to find a real estate agent. A realtor is going to be the security blanket in your back pocket that's going to help you get through this process and helping you find the home that you are going to love, and helping you also identify what it is that you want in a home, where you want to live, what school districts maybe you want to be in, what part of town that entails. And so they're going to help you find the best property for you in those areas. They're going to do a property search for you as well. So generally send you listings, things like that that come up and become available to you that are in a price range that you're looking to like. So, and then once you get, well, actually, let me back up. Finding the realtor. So there's lots of ways of finding the realtor. One, you can ask us. We work with real estate agents every day, and we have real estate agents that we work with very closely. I also recommend talking with family, friends, coworkers, people who've been through the experience with the realtors as well, and so that they can recommend someone that's good, that's going to help you through the process. So once you locate the realtor and you go out and find a property, the real estate agent's then going to, at that point, help you get into contract. And the contract is going to be very detailed, going through what the sales price is going to be, who's going to pay for what, and just document basically what the purchase and everything is going to be through the process.
Exactly. And so what will happen is there's a lot of fees associated with the real estate transaction, and that is going to be negotiated on who is going to pay for what. The seller versus the buyer. Your realtor is going to advocate on your behalf for the best deal. And then once you're ready, you will then tender what we call earnest money. Earnest money is typically 1% of the purchase price. So if you're buying a $400,000 home, you would tender a check that will be held in escrow for approximately $4,000. That simply means that you are serious about buying this home. The process is going to take 30 to 45 days, and during that time, you want to tell the seller that you are serious about purchasing their home, and that if something is to go wrong, then the earnest money can basically change hands based on what certain criteria happen. But ultimately, once the transaction goes through, that earnest money that you applied will go towards your down payment.
Oh, so you're not going to keep that money?
Nope, goes straight to your down payment.
So yes.
It'll be held safely in escrow until then.
So you do get a credit for that. That's excellent.
You do. So the next thing that's going to happen is going to be your inspection. This will be the first part of your due diligence period. This is going to be the biggest purchase that you will most likely make in your lifetime. You want to know what the condition is. So we really strongly encourage you to hire a licensed inspector. That inspector is going to go through your home, and they are going to look at the condition, because the last thing you want to have happen is to purchase this home and find out that the furnace is in need of replacement. That could be very costly. And so the inspector is going to tell you what the condition is of all of the major systems, the roofs, the plumbing, the electrical, the heating. That way you won't have any surprises. Now, say for instance something does come up in the inspection. At that point, you could negotiate with the seller, and you can say, well, gosh, the furnace is in need of replacement. You go to your realtor, and your realtor would then negotiate either a repair or a replacement. Finally, it is a due diligence period, which means if you do not like the condition of the property, you can get out of the contract. And at that point, you could get your earnest money back because you have found that the condition of the property is not what you expected or hoped. And so it's super important. We don't necessarily need a copy of that as a lender, but we strongly encourage you to get a certified inspector to get it done. The next process that will happen after that is going to be the appraisal. Mandy, tell us a little bit about the appraisal.
Well, the appraisal is going to be a little bit different process. So the home inspection is going to be very detailed. It's going to take the home inspector a couple hours to go through the property. I recommend the home inspector you go with allow you to go through the property with you. Most of them do, and it's actually really helpful, especially if you've never owned a home before, because it'll really help you understand the mechanics of the home, and just how the home works altogether. You know, the last thing you need to do is get into a house and then not know how to shut off the water if the toilet's overflowing, or things like that. So it's important that when you have your home inspection done, you go with your home inspector so they can give you all the details of the home, and they are going to turn on water, flush toilets, just thoroughly inspect that property versus the appraisal. The appraisal is going to determine the value of the property. So your home inspector is just determining the mechanics, making sure the home's working how it should, but the appraiser is going to determine the value of the home. Now, can the appraiser call out repairs? Yes, absolutely. They are more visually inspecting the property, so they're visually looking for things like if, clearly if wires are coming out of the, ceiling, holes in sheetrock, things like that, those they could potentially call out. But their main goal is to determine what the value is. And generally, they're looking at like sales, things that have sold in that area, usually within a couple mile radius max, that have sold in the last 3 to 6 months. And so they compare the home to other comparable homes that have sold recently to then determine the value at that point.
Awesome. And the last thing we'll wrap up with appraisals is there's really 3 possible outcomes for the appraised value. The first outcome is going to be at the purchase price. And if the appraisal comes in at the purchase price, then you have gotten a good deal and everything is great. The contract proceeds as normal.
Life is good.
If the appraisal comes in above the amount, then you got a really good deal.
Life is better.
And you even you're in contract for the lower amount, so you don't have to pay the higher amount, which is great. You have instant free equity. The final option is if it comes in low. Say it comes in $20,000 low. Well, this is a fair market value, and we can lend only on fair market. So basically, you have a few options now. You can either pay the difference out of pocket. You can go back to the seller and have your realtor renegotiate the price lower because you are now in turn overpaying for the house. Or if an agreement has not been able to be reached, you can simply get out of the contract and take your earnest money back because the house is not worth what you have been in contract to pay for it.
Excellent. I think I like the second option, the instant equity.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay, well, now that we have the appraisal while the appraisal is being worked on, your file, we're going to be working on your file. And your file is going to be going through underwriting. We're going to be independently checking income, assets, just verifying that all the information that we have is still current and correct. And then we'll send your file through underwriting, have a human review everything that we've inputted to make sure it's all correct. And then once that is done and the appraisal has arrived, then we will head into closing and we'll start the closing process.
Awesome. And another process that'll go on behind the scenes during this whole thing will be a title search. So you will select a title company and they will check to make sure there are no existing liens against the property. And once you buy the property, you will be the only person that owns the property and has claim to it. So the title company plays a very important part. And in fact, at the end of the transaction, that is where you will actually be signing and exchanging the money. We'll go into this a lot more in further episodes, but for now, thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you for joining us.
This podcast is sponsored by Residential Mortgage LLC, NMLS numbers 167729, 196 576, and 1820404, Equal Housing Lender.